Okay, so suppose you want to ask a question in the discussion. You want some sort of math equation because it's in the problem. I highly encourage that if you feel stuck, don't post the quiz and to post a question to the discussion. Quizzes are made so that you can stop and start. Midterm and final are not. Those you have to they're timed. You still have plenty of time maybe to ask something, but response time you never know. So quizzes you have response time. So because you can wait to see if I respond or somebody else responds. But you might want to have how do I write the questions? And so I'm using this email that I'm actually going to send you, and I'm going to attach this when I'm done. Suppose I want to ask a question mathematically, and I want to put the equation in. So notice that right here, this sigma, that's an uppercase sigma, says equation. Now you can do it in a bunch of different ways. There's if you're chemistry, ML, I don't even know this one. This one I know, but it takes a little bit to understand it. This one's probably the easiest one. So say I want to insert a graphic equation. So you click on this and it allows you a bunch of stuff that you can find in here, right? So like let's say that I want to do, I don't know, quadratic equation, right? So I can go x, or actually what you really want to do is click this one, put the x in here, go up there, square, and then hit the right arrow to jump out, put your 2x plus 6 equals 0, something like that, right? And you have a type of quadratic equation, and then you can hit insert and it'll plug it right into the equation. Now let's say I want to do something else. So let's say that I want to do, I don't know, let's do the quadratic equation or quadratic formula, right? So let's say we want to do something like graph equation. So let's say, let's actually just write the formula. So we have ax. Okay, so here's something that this annoys me, but it does this. Like if I click it now, it's going to put that little square in there. But if I highlight it, I think this will get it. Oh yeah, that caused problems. So what you tend to have to do is like this. Type A, click the box. Oh, I guess I could do it that way then. Click the box, put the square in. You kind of have to play around with this. Bx plus c equals 0, right? And if I hit return, it's going to go down below. So now let's say we want to write the quadratic formula. So x equals, and now we want a fraction. So if you go over here to this boxes, you kind of have to search around for some of this. Notice that one of them is this one. And so we have minus b, type that in, and then plus and minus. So if you search around in here, go back to this one, I think, you'll see that, I think that's the base one. Oh, here's plus and minus. And now you want to do the square root. So you want to find the symbols, and that's, you can see it right there. So you can plug in square root and then put, let's plug in this one, b squared. And you can jump down and see when it's highlighted like that, it's still under the square root, and have 4ac all over 2a, like that. And of course then you can insert it and you have the quadratic formula into your equation like that. So what else could you do? You can do, when we get to, let's say we want to do trig functions, right? You can do sine of, and you'll notice it went from diagonal or slanted or italicized or whatever to straight up when it recognizes certain things like sine and cosine. You'll get to the trig in the second 3 weeks. But here, right here, you have, these are Greek letters, and we use the Greek letters there, like theta and phi, and so you can put in theta, sine of theta is equal to something like, maybe you want to put y over r, something like that, and you have y over r. So there's a lot of power with putting in different equations, and using this button right here will get you that. If you need to put in tables, that's this one. I don't know where we'll need tables, but you can, like if I wanted to insert a table, you tell it what size you want, like say you want to do a 4x4, and you can put in whatever 3 3 4, and then you can adjust the size by moving things over. I think move so like this, and you can plug tables in. I don't know if that's something that you need to do, but and then if you want, you can go back and correct it. And then if you type something like this, if this is not correct and you want to recorrect it, right? Like say you wanted to add on to, say we want to add on to this one, right? Well, what you can do is go back up here once you highlight it and hit graphic equation, it brings it back up, and then you could type in cosine of, you could then go and find your theta is equal to fraction x over r, like that, and you have a question. Now when you go into discussions, then of course what you can do is then you can, now we have a way to make it easier to find, or I mean not find, but the way to write equations and actually make them like we write them, so it's easier to understand. So we're not doing something crazy like a lot of times people write quadratic equations like something like this, right? Which quadratic equation is not too hard, but how do we do a square root, right? So that's a little tricky. But this is probably the easiest way. It's also kind of how you do it in a Word document as well. There is an equation editor there. So, but yeah, and then there's some other things. Like if you click on this button, hold on, let me stop it and restart it. I'll edit these things together at the end. Like if you want to make it bigger, that's this one right here. We'll make it a full page, and you can do other things, like say I wanted to emphasize something, so I could take this thing and make it bold. I think you have to, although I think you have to do it within the thing, but you can change bold and italics. You can link pictures or I guess this is insert a link to a site, insert a picture. So like if you did a graph on something and you want to insert a picture into your question, like a screenshot or whatever, you can do it that way. Of course it's undo, but yeah, so this is a good way to like be able to communicate a little better mathematically, is the sigma and some of these other things. You can do different fonts if for some reason you want to do it that way. I don't know why you would, but you might, because this is for HTML code. If you actually know HTML code, you can look at the source code like this, and you can see that this is you can actually go in and edit your email with this kind of stuff right here. But anyway, probably not. Some of this stuff I don't use. This is that's just statistics about it. But yeah, this thing right here shrinks and increases the size of the email, so, or the screen. It does it in discussion. It does it anytime. So take advantage of that.